ASMR Gaming News. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to a new ASMR movie Geek review. So, I just got back from the movie theater. I watched the new Fast and Furious movie, Fast X, and I can't wait to give my thoughts and opinions on the movie. And by the way, don't worry about spoilers. The first part of this review will not have any spoilers whatsoever. So I'll give a spoiler warning near the middle of the video, and I'll go spoiler, 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 spoiler. And then you know that I'm going to be talking about spoilers, so you can skip or stop the video at that point. So I got some nice Fortnite gameplay in the background here, so enjoy, and let's talk about the movie. So I have to be honest, I like the Fast and Furious movies. I like everything about them. Car racing movies are something that I always enjoy. Illegal kind of street racing movies, also really enjoyable. And I also like action movies, sci-fi, kind of futuristic technology action movies and stuff like that. I really enjoy. I would categorize it kind of like Transformers movies, Michael Bay Transformer movies, a lot of action, explosions, maybe not the best or greatest story in the world, it's not going to win any Oscars, but if you watch a Transformers movie and you want to see Decepticons and Transformers fight and just have a good time, that's usually what you're going to get out of the movie. And that's exactly what I get out of the Fast and Furious movies. I get some good action, some fun interactions between the characters, I get some cars and racing and, just a fun storyline. So, before we get to the review, I just wanted to say that this movie is kind of like a first part of a trilogy, possibly. So, for those that don't know, some movies sometimes do this. Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Twilight, they all did this thing where the last movie was kind of cut into two parts. So for Harry Potter, they did Deathly Hallows Part 1, and then they did the Deathly Hallows Part 2. But it was, the final movie just cut in half. And they're doing the exact same thing with this new Fast X movie. And it's kind of interesting, to be honest. And recently, Vin Diesel, he was interviewed on a red carpet, I think in Italy, and they asked him hey, when's the sequel or something? And he was like, oh, the studio asked me to do 3 parts, so we're doing it. And then he ran off. So we don't know if this movie is cut into 2 parts or 3 parts. But there's definitely going to be another one, which is kind of weird because originally Fast X was supposed to be the final Fast and Furious movie, but now they're cutting the final movie into 3 different parts, I guess, or at least 2. So I guess we're going to have to wait another year or 2 years possibly to get a conclusion to this series, so I'm a little bit annoyed about that. But let's just say theater was full of people. I could tell there were a lot of people that really like these movies there as well, so that made me happy. Let's see. I can't really talk about spoiler stuff. There are a lot of returning characters in this movie. You can see them in the trailers. We got a brand new villain. We have returning villains. Justin Lin, who was involved with the first 5, I believe, Fast and Furious movies, came back to work on this one. He did not direct it, but he wrote the screenplay and story, so he kind of tied it back into some of the older movies, so that was really nice for fans. I have to say, I really enjoyed how the movie kind of starts where the last one ended. It just continues, and I really, really like that. There were no moments in this movie, I have to say, which felt very boring or slow. The whole movie just felt like a you know, a roller coaster from start to finish. Like, I just enjoyed the ride. It was great. Good music. Fast and Furious movies, every single time there's a new one, they just put like all these like banger tracks on there that are just an amazing kind of like vibe. And in the theater, you know, you're just sitting there, and they have like all these like new tracks from various like rap artists or EDM artists, or you got some rock music in there as well. Some of the tracks I did not know of, so I'm gonna go search online later. I think some people made special music just for this movie, kind of like the last Fast and Furious movie got some like special tracks that they just made for that one, and that's what they've been doing for many years now. I remember I think it was like Fast and Furious 7, possibly. They actually got like Travis Scott, the Migos, and Uzi to like make a song for Fast and Furious. So that was really, really good. And yeah, they did one for this movie, the last movie. They're usually great. Lots of good music. I would say they have like a good balance between the music, the musical score of the movie, like the sound of like the engine, and like they'll put like crazy intense kind of like upbeat music, like dun 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 dun, stuff like that. And then for like some cool moments or scenes, they'll put on like the EDM kind of like house music or rap music in the background during races. So there's a nice balance between like great composed like musical score, and you got your, you know, regular music artists doing songs for the movie. Really like that. So definitely made the movie feel awesome. That's the best way to describe it. Like, I had a great time. Definitely gonna check out the soundtrack like I do with every Fast and Furious movie after it comes out. Let's see. The cast, the actors, fantastic job. Jason Momoa, this is not a spoiler, by the way. He's the main villain of the movie. He is shown in every single trailer for this movie, so if you watched even 1 second of a Fast X trailer, you know he's the villain, so that's not really a spoiler. He does a great job. Honestly, I mostly know Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones and Aquaman, and really happy with what he did here in the movie. I think he played a great villain, and everybody else, fantastic job. You know, you got Vin Diesel returning as Tom, you have Letty, you know, awesome. We have some other returning characters that I can't get into right now because it's kind of a spoiler, but I'll get into that later. Of course, you know, we have Ludacris, Tyrese Gibson, everybody else returning to continue the story with their characters. We have Han, we have what's his name, Shaw. What's his first name again? Shaw. Oh man, I'm blanking on his name. I can't believe it. What was his name? He was awesome. He's played by Jason Statham. Deckard Shaw is back. He's in this movie, so really liked seeing him show up. Jason Statham is awesome. Just, you know, every single Fast and Furious movie kind of brings back everybody, and they go on an insane mission. That's what they do in this one as well. But I do like some things they did with the story in this one. It felt a little bit more serious and personal compared to some of the other movies. Some of the previous Fast and Furious movies were more about the heist or the mission, and then things went wrong. This one was very, I would say, different because it wasn't really about like the mission. It was more kind of like a personal journey or story going on, and I liked it. I could definitely tell, oh, they're trying to do like a finale here, so I like what they were doing for this first part. Let's see, the special effects are insane. Props to every single stunt driver, worker on this movie. Oh my goodness, I hope they're paying the stunt drivers and workers like amazing for the Fast and Furious movies, including Fast X. Some of the stunts in this movie are insane. Like there's scenes in this where I'm just like, how in the world did they make that without CG? And yeah, it's not CG, like it's legit. Like driving, jumping, all this stuff, like really intense, crazy moments that you can tell were actually filmed by like professionals and things like that. So yeah, special effects in this movie, amazing. There were like no moments in this movie where I was like, oh, that looks super fake. You can tell that's fake. Maybe there's like one moment near the end of the movie, possibly, but everything else was like really good quality special effects. Nothing seemed cheap or bad. They definitely put a lot of work into this one. Let's see. Oh, locations. This is one thing I really liked about this one. Some Fast and Furious movies, you know, some of them take place in like one location for the whole movie, and then some others kind of go from one location to a second location, and then they kind of like stay in a third location for the final act. This movie is like all over the place. Like, we're in one location, then we're in another, then we're in another, and then other characters are in another location, and then they go to another location, and it's like, wow, we're like in 5 different locations already, and it's been 40 minutes into the movie, so I really like that. Kind of reminded me of like James Bond movies where, like, you know, James Bond will be on a mission somewhere, you know, and then all of a sudden he's in France, and then he'll be like in Miami, and then he'll be like in Mexico, and then he'll be in Australia, you know, and you'll be like, wow, oh, okay, wow, this movie's really going places. So I really like that about Fast X. The views, the locations they visit, beautiful, great cinematography, like shots. The action was not blurry. There was no like annoying shaky cam. All the angles were like perfectly set for capturing the action. Especially the chase sequences. I feel like the Fast and Furious movies are like amazing when it comes to like the chase action scenes, racing scenes, and I guess they have to because the whole series is about, you know, cars and racing mostly. So they really perfected this. Like, the action sequences, there's never moments where I'm like, oh, I can't see the action, like, please turn the camera around or something. No, the camera's like right there. Let 2 cars racing each other. You got like inside view from inside the vehicle. There's view from outside the vehicle, on the top of the vehicle. From the vehicle next door to that, we get like cameras set on the road as the vehicle like flies over the road. So we're getting like all these like different angles for the shots, capturing every single little bit of you know, action. So absolutely love that. Fantastic, amazing. I have to give it like a good score, like for cinematography and like the action and sequences. I give it like a 8 or a 9, seriously, for that stuff alone. Now, the story, okay, it's decent. It's not like the most amazing Fast and Furious story ever. And some of the character interactions I felt were done better in some of the previous movies. I feel like Fast and Furious 5 to Fast and Furious 8, maybe 7, definitely did some things a little bit better than this one, but this one was still amazing. So my overall review score for everything after watching the movie, I give it a 7 out of 10. Fun, enjoyable, great action movie. Not the greatest Fast and Furious, but definitely not the worst one. And I can't wait for the next one. That's the one thing that kind of annoyed me with the movie. This is not a spoiler. It ends on a cliffhanger. Like, the movie just ends, and it's like, hey, part 2. And I'm like, wait, I really want to know what happens, what's gonna happen. So I guess we're gonna wait for part 2. It's kind of like Avengers Infinity War leading into Endgame. Like, you're like, wait, what? What's gonna happen? So this movie does something similar. So yeah, great movie. If you like Fast and Furious, if you've never watched a Fast and Furious, you can still watch this one. You might not get some references, but you can still watch this one without needing to watch the others. So let's get to spoilers. Spoiler. Okay. So this movie is, I would say, is a little bit darker in tone than some of the previous Fast and Furious movies, because even though some of the villains in previous movies intentionally went out of their way to kind of mess with Dom and his family, yes, I know it's a meme at this point, his family, but the villain for this movie intentionally is kind of trying to get revenge on Dom. And they're doing it in kind of like a very like cruel way. Like he mentions multiple points in the movie that he's trying to make the characters suffer, and he does that by doing a bunch of different things involving, kidnapping, killing people they know, stuff like that. So definitely a little bit more intense and darker than some of the other movies, especially if you care about a lot of these characters. You're like, wait, no. So definitely puts the stakes up. Jason Momoa, who plays the villain Dante in this movie, he is linked to Fast and Furious 5, so kind of calls back to that movie. The heist on that movie was done to his father, who ended up dying, and he wants revenge on Dom and everybody. But he is very unique because he's kind of crazy, this villain. They show him multiple times talking about how he's like insane. There's scenes in this movie that remind me straight up of like killers in like Hannibal movies or TV shows or things like that. Like he straight up is talking to like two dead guys in this movie that are just like sitting on chairs, their bodies like decaying, and he's having a completely normal conversation with them. So that's when you know this guy is dangerous. Like he has serious problems, and he does not care at all. So he will do anything he wants, anything he thinks the characters in this movie deserve, because he thinks they need to be, punished for killing his father, but also ruining his life. And it gets pretty intense sometimes, and the whole movie is basically a setup by him to kind of get rid of Dom and destroy his family. So, he gets like Letty captured. Near the end of the movie, there's a whole intense sequence where like Dom's son gets kidnapped. He's about to die, so like Dom and him get in a car and they escape, but then they blow up a bridge, and the only way is jumping off the bridge in the car, and they do that. And then when they finally land, you see they're okay, and then this guy like explodes a water dam, and all the water just comes out flying towards them at like super fast speeds, and then the movie ends, so we have no idea what happens there. Like, does Dom survive? Does his kid survive? How in the world do they get out of there? I want to know. So I can't wait for the next movie. This movie does one thing that I'm not a huge fan of. I really like team-ups, with a lot of characters working together in previous Fast and Furious movies. This movie had a lot of the cast split up in their own missions, kind of like Tyrese, Ludacris, they're on their own mission for most of the movie. They're not even with Dom or Letty or anyone else. Like, they're together on their own side mission. Dom is basically alone the whole time. Letty is basically alone the whole time, so this movie's kind of split in like 3 different areas the whole movie. So we're seeing like Han with Tyrese and Ludacris. It's funny, I call Tyrese's character Tyrese and Ludacris when that's not their names in the movie. I guess they're, famous in and outside of the movie for me, so that's why I call them that. But yeah, that's one thing I didn't really like, how they split up the different storylines, and no one really teamed up near the end or during the movie, so that was a little bit annoying. Everybody was kind of in their own area. A villain from a previous film, Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, came back in this movie, and the movie kind of tries to make her a better character. Like, they try to make you empathize for her, but I was like, wait a second, this lady killed a lot of people in the previous movies. Like, we don't want her anywhere near any of the cast. Like, she'll betray them any chance she gets. There's a fight scene later on in the movie with Letty and her escaping from a prison, and even though Cypher's helping her escape, they still end up fighting, which is a pretty cool scene with like robot lasers and things. It's crazy and didn't even feel like a Fast and Furious movie. But yeah, the movie starts in a really nice way. Most Fast and Furious movies end at a barbecue with Dom and his family saying nice words. This one starts that way. So the movie starts with them kind of having a nice barbecue, and then they, everybody goes home. and then things go bad. Cypher shows up wounded to Dom's house. She said she fought off this new villain Dante character that showed up at her secret research building or whatever, stole something from her. She had to escape, and then from there on, the whole movie is basically the characters being framed or outplayed by Dante. So what happens is basically Dante, the main villain of this movie, tries to frame the main characters and make them seem like they're terrorists or they did something really, really bad. And this causes the agency, which is kind of like the big FBI security organization of the Fast and Furious movies. They previously were led by Mr. Nobody, if any of you remember. It's played by Kurt Russell in some of the previous Fast and Furious movies. That guy, Mr. Nobody, is gone. So now there's a new main head honcho of the agency, and he's like, this big guy, and he thinks he knows everything, and he's like, wait a second, this Dom guy betrayed us. He's doing all this illegal stuff. We have to take him in. So not only is this Dante guy after Dom and his crew, but the agency is also after him. And we learn near the end of the movie that they are both working together, this Dante villain and this new agency guy. They're both together, both corrupt, in on this, and they're both trying to take Dom out. So that's going to be very interesting to see where that goes in the next movie. I have to say, I did not see that twist coming, because usually how it goes is, the heroes prove themselves to the agency, like, hey, we're not bad guys after all, we were being framed, and the agency is like, oh, okay, we understand, it's good. But no, this time, the agency knows that they're the good guys, they're just trying to frame them with the villain, intentionally, so it's kind of a nice twist. Yeah, this movie was great. A lot of returning characters. So Jacob comes back, Dominic's brother, played by the one and only John Cena. Yeah, he's back. He's fantastic in this movie. He kind of takes care of Dom's kid in this movie, who gets kidnapped. He saves him and everything. Great actor. I think John Cena should be in more movies like this. Great job in this. Gal Gadot makes a return. I think her character is called Giselle, if I'm not mistaken. She shows up near the end of this movie as well, kind of as a surprise. And then the biggest surprise is the after credits scene. I was not expecting this. So we are finally getting Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back in Fast and Furious after he had a huge kind of feud with Vin Diesel. Apparently they had some problems on set, and Vin Diesel was like, you're never working on Fast and Furious again, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And that went on for years, but apparently they buried the hatchet. They're cool, and he's coming back. So he was teased at the end of the movie. The main villain, Dante, is mad at him too, and he's looking for him. So, yeah, we're gonna have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character. What's his name again? Come on. What was his name? Hobbs. Yeah, Hobbs. So he's back as well, so that's super cool. I was so happy about that. I was like, yes, he's back. That is so cool. So, yeah, all the characters from a lot of the movies make appearances in this. Like I said before, we had Shaw. We got Hobbs at the end. Hopefully we get another Hobbs and Shaw movie in the future. I really enjoyed that one spin-off movie they did. But, yeah, great movie. Had a fun time. Did not like the kind of like cliffhanger ending. I wanted something a little bit, nicer. So I can't wait for the next one because I really need to know what happened. But overall, fun movie, exciting. Can't really complain. Lots of racing scenes, action scenes, explosions. The movie got insane. There's one huge explosion in the movie, which looked amazing. I don't know what kind of special effects they used, but it looked realistic. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So props to the special effects team. They did a great job, and the stunt drivers and everybody in this movie. So yeah, that's my review and my thoughts and a little recap of the story right there. So thank you all for listening, for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. So long and farewell.